Welcome back to State of the Union. President Biden right there before he departed Japan for the United States, weighing on the potential of using a clause in the 14th Amendment to the Constitution to bypass Congress to raise the debt ceiling on his own, a move that many progressive Democrats support. One of those House lawmakers, Congresswoman Summer Lee from the great Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, is here with me and my panel. Congresswoman, I want to get to this because this is really interesting. Your Republican colleagues in negotiations, one of the things that they're pushing for is pushing work requirements for SNAP benefits, what people more commonly know as food stamps, help with nutrition for families. And when you were growing up, your family relied on that assistance. So what are your thoughts on this push?
You know, I think it's cruelty, right? There are so many other things that we could be talking about. I think this is a smokescreen. I think that it's clear that what we're trying to do is we're pushing people further into poverty. We're talking about issues that are non-issues. Folks want to work. These folks are already working. These folks are hungry. These folks are sick. And we're putting up bureaucratic red tape that we don't need to. So instead of giving these folks the food they need or helping them to get healthy, we're instead going to put precious resources into putting up more barriers for those same people that I relied on. I'm here today because of it.
Doug, your former boss, Republican House Majority Leader Eric Cantor from the Commonwealth of Virginia, he dealt with debt ceiling negotiations back in 2011 with Obama and Biden. We're nearing the deadline. Yeah. Do you think they're going to find a compromise?
Well, I hope so. And one of the people that he dealt with directly was this vice president who was named Joe Biden. Right. So history repeats itself. But what we see in Washington so often when we deal with situations like this is the answer's no, no, no. Hey, there's progress. No. Now we have a framework. No. And then we get to yes. And ultimately, what we see are two things. One, nothing is agreed to until everything's agreed to. And as John McCain famously said, you know, it's darkest before it gets totally black. But there's also, as we've gotten somewhat less pessimistic, which is not to say more optimistic, that there's a sense that this isn't going to happen because it's never happened before. And if the last 5 years, 10 years have taught us anything, it's don't think something's not going to happen because it's inevitable, or it's unprecedented. The unprecedented happens in Washington a lot now.
So the Biden people are engaging. I mean, there was a time a few weeks ago when their posture was, no, we're not doing this. Now that they're negotiating, they're actually, does that disappoint you? What do you think?
Well, I think the president labored under the misapprehension that the speaker would do his job. It's a constitutional obligation. Okay, that's his job, is to pay the bills. By the way, these are bills run up by Donald Trump and the Republican Congress. They've added $7 trillion to the debt. And the two key numbers here for me are 5 and 18. Kevin McCarthy, the House Speaker, has a margin of 5 seats. He has 18 members who represent districts that Joe Biden carried.
But they've stuck with him.
Yes, he's made them walk the plank, and for nothing. They have now voted. They haven't voted to cut spending. They have voted to cut teachers, to cut food for hungry kids, to cut law enforcement. And for what? To protect tax cuts for the rich and subsidies for big oil and big pharma. And by the way, that's not going to become law. So he has made those poor moderates walk the plank and endanger their careers, I think end their careers, over something that's never going to happen anyway. It's not going to pass. It is malpractice in terms of congressional leadership.
Essie?
If I were a progressive, I'd be pretty pissed at Biden because they ended up exactly where he promised they wouldn't. As you said, negotiating. So I understand the frustration among progressives. On the other side, I'm thrilled that Republicans have rediscovered the debt and wanting to cut spending after 4 years of jettisoning those principal policy concerns for conservatives because Trump didn't care. So I think the talking, the arguments, the discussions are good ones to have about how we're going to pay for stuff and what stuff should be cut and what should not. But this is so political on both sides and such gamesmanship. And I mean, it's just it's very disheartening to watch because I think we'll end up getting there, but we have to go through this crap first.
Let me just say that, because we like to use the phrase both sides, but the reality is that there's one side, particularly Washington insider, Beltway folks, who are talking about this in terms of dollars, in terms of politics, and then there's the other side of people who are impacted. There is a human impact.
Yeah, right.
I'm a politician, and I'm an impacted person.
Yeah.
I know that there are going to be people who are going to suffer. We're here to fight for them. It's not about politics, it's about lives. It's about my own family will suffer if this happens.
It shouldn't be about politics.
And it shouldn't be about politics.
Of course it is, though, on both sides.
Just before before Doug weighs in, Can you more specifically, because I think one of the things that we in the media struggle to do is to explain the relevance of this fight to the people watching at home. Obviously, if you work for the government or you work for a government contractor, the government's not going to be able to pay its bills. They're not going to, if you take a Social Security check, you're not going to get that check. How else is it going to affect your constituents?
If you're a student and you rely on Pell Grant, this is a student who may now not be able to go to college. Folks who are trying to lift themselves out of poverty, lift themselves into the middle class, will now have their access cut off. If you are somebody who relies on SNAP benefits, TANF, Medicare, if you're a veteran, we're talking about Veterans Affairs, all of these earned benefits that people rely on, this isn't a shameful thing to rely on. These are folks who are every day trying to make it, and these are their basic needs that we're saying, we're going to cut your basic needs. We're going to make sure that we're going to ensure that your child can't eat. And this should be a non-starter. It should be a non-starter for Democrats, Republicans, and independents.
Now, Doug, I'm dying to hear what you think. We're going to switch to the 2024 race because it's on.